Hello friends, welcome back. I know there's a lot of new subscribers on here, so I want to make a video for the new subscribers so that you can see what my house looks like and what my garden looks here at my house. I live in Northern Virginia USDA Zone, Zone 7A. That means that our temperatures in the winter can get down to about 5 degrees. So all the trees that I'll show you today that are planted in the ground can survive at least 5 degrees during the winter months. I grow a lot of vegetables and I also like fruit trees. So you will see a mixture of both of those in this video. This right here is my front lawn and you can see that the lawn piece is missing. When I first bought this house in 2020, I decided to cover it with wood chips and then put some beds in it and grow some food and beauty. And now, 3 years in, the garden is looking luscious and green, and this year I decided to plant some sunflowers at the front to give quite a bit of beauty at the front. So when you drive by my house, this is what you see. Some people will think this is weedy and crazy, but I love it. And most of my neighbors actually like it and support my growing here. There is a raised bed underneath all of that. It is 4 foot by 4 foot, and there is a twin one that looks just like it right over here. In the springtime, I used it to grow a lot of vegetables like lettuces. Now I'm growing flowers in it because I want beauty for the neighbors, because I want to make it very beautiful so that they don't complain too much. Check out the flowers right here leading up to my house. I have a lot of marigolds because marigolds are good companions for tomatoes. Tomatoes can get disease and pests, but the marigolds, if you interplant them, they really help with the pests. So from the street you see the flowers, but actually in between the flowers I am growing a ton of tomatoes. Check out this tomato right there, and check out these other ones right over there. In this bed right here I am growing some corn. This is sweet corn. In between the corn I am using the stalks to grow some beans on them as trellises. And these are the beans right here. So you can plant your corn first, and after a 2-3 week period you plant the seeds for beans, and those beans will use them as trellises. Check out this beautiful tomato patch right here. This raised bed is only 3 foot by 5 foot long, and these are green zebra tomatoes. The green zebra tomatoes are loaded right now, and hopefully I'll be able to tell when they are ripe, because they never turn red, so they're always a little bit green even though they're ripe. So here in the next few days they should start ripening. Over in this bed I have some tomatoes growing. Last year I was able to save seeds from these beautiful tomatoes. This tomato I got from a friend last year, and I saved the seeds and it came true to type. And check out the little stripes on it. They're just so beautiful. I have a few plants in pots. This is a guava, a tropical guava. So that is in a pot, and this one comes indoors during the winter months. But I also have these lime tree, and I have a lemon tree right over here. This lemon tree actually has 2 lemons on it. Hopefully we'll get to eat some lemons. The rest of the garden is planted with more flowers, lavender, thyme, green onions. This year I think I'm going to be very successful at growing this Jamaican hibiscus. I've grown it before, but I planted it a little late in the season, so the calyxes did not turn ripe. But this year I think I'm going to be successful because they're already forming right over here. I am also growing some okra right along the path here because I want to have more production out of this little space that I have. And the okra is starting to form some flowers right there. I also have this beautiful pomegranate right here, and it's about to bloom. I am growing food wherever I can. Right here, this is a yuzu citrus, and this is actually like a lemon, and it's originally from Japan, but it can survive our winters. And earlier I found out that this one produced a flower and actually got pollinated. So there's a tiny little fruit right there. I'm hoping that it ripens before the winter months. I have another pomegranate tree right here. I have perennial colors. I have this huge tomatillo plant right here. This right here is a guava tree. It's called a pineapple guava, and it's originally from Chile or the Andes Patagonia region, and this one should produce some fruit if I can protect it during the winter months. I got some peppers growing right here. I have chipilín, which is a Salvadorian green. I have some peppers. Look at this lettuce, basil. The leaves are ginormous. I also have a loquat growing right here. I started this from a seed, and now it's getting big because I put it in the ground, and it's starting to push out new branches. So that's very cool to see. Right on this side along the fence, I am growing some cucumbers. I thought I had them separated, but they're together. So there's some pickling cucumbers growing. Check out the baby pickling cucumber there. And right in here I have a white cucumber, and this one is just cool. I grew it last year and then I saved some seeds, so now I can have it again. On this side of the fence I am growing grapes and blackberries together, and check out the fruit set on these grapes this year. These are just beautiful grapes. This arbor is loaded. Some of these grapes have already starting to ripen, and my daughter and I have been coming out here and eating them individually. We harvest them individually from the bunches, and then we just eat them. Check out this beautiful grape. This is a Concord grape. It does have seeds, but we have just been eating the seeds because they don't really harm us in any way. It has also been a great year for the blackberry vine that is interplanted with this grape. We have been harvesting a ton of these every day for the last 2 weeks, and we are enjoying them, and it looks like the birds are also enjoying these. There is plenty on this vine to share, so that's okay. I don't mind the birds taking a few. This arbor is just so beautiful. It is covering about half the length of all of the fencing here, and I get to walk out, and my daughter points like this, and she already knows that I have blackberries growing there, so she points this way when we walk out, and she wants to eat the blackberries. And because I am growing so many different types of berries and fruits, there is always something ripe in the garden that she can eat. We started very early in the spring with sweet peas, then we moved on to some blueberries, then we did raspberries, now we're doing blackberries, then we'll be doing the grapes. After that we'll move on to the figs, hopefully some apples, and lastly we'll finish out with the persimmons. So if you have a little bit of space in your yard, I recommend that you plant at least 4 or 5 different types of fruits. That way you can get a continual harvest during the summer months, so that you don't have a glut of just one type of fruit. Let's walk along the fence line, and you can see that I have so much growing here. I have this blackberry vine goes all the way across like this. There's 2 blackberry vines. One is planted over there and one is planted over here. But my goal is to fill in this area with the vines from both of them. And right here I propagate a lot of my trees because I like to sell a few of them, and I also give away a lot of them to my friends. But check it out. This year I decided to grow all my peppers and beans right here, and I have a ton of eggplants over there that I'm going to show you right now. This right here is the eggplant patch, and you cannot tell until you come down below and you start looking for them. Check that out. There's 4 or 5 on this plant right here, and this one is huge. Check it out. These are Japanese eggplants or Asian eggplants, and they are delicious. You just stir fry them with a little egg. Super good. Right along here I have an elderberry bush. Last year I went through the trouble of netting the entire tree, and I saved about 3 gallons worth of berries. So this year I'm letting the birds have all of the berries because I don't have time to be bagging them this year or netting them, and I just have enough in the freezer still, so I'll leave that for next year. Right over here I have a ton of peppers growing. Check out the little peppers that are growing in this bed. I think they're getting shaded by that tree. I'm pretty sure they're getting shaded by the tree, so hopefully Hopefully they're all right and they produce enough. In this bed I have more eggplants. Check out the size of this eggplant leaf right here. I've never seen one so big. No eggplants just yet. This is the big eggplants, Black Beauty I believe. So these eggplants are gonna be about a pound each. So the plant is getting ready for that and it's getting very big. Right on this side I have a potato patch. Check out how the potatoes look. They're starting to die back, so that tells me that I need to harvest these very soon. This tall tree right here is a pawpaw tree, and I'm hopeful in a few more years I'll get some fruit out of that. On this fence line I have a little mesh, and I am growing some yard-long green beans here. So hopefully they'll start producing soon, because I see some of the flowers right over there. Here are the flowers. And hopefully and very soon I'll start seeing the beans, and we'll have a ton of beans in here. This bed right here is my pride and joy. This is taro, and check out the size of this taro right now. I have been trying to grow it for a second year in a row here. Last year I grew it over there underneath the banana plants, but this year I grew it here because I noticed that there was a lot of sun right here. So I am growing a lot of taro, and hopefully I will get a crop that I can show you. I was also able to overwinter taro last year. There's a little plant over there underneath the banana plants, and I did that by mulching it really heavy. So you can grow taro, which is tropical. It's usually grown in Hawaii and other Asian countries, also in Central America. But it's really tropical. But if you can cover the corms, or just the tubers, the starchy tubers, if you can cover them with a lot of mulch, they will survive the winter. And right underneath the taro, I am growing ginger. This right here is a ginger plant. I started this ginger rhizomes very early on in February, March, indoors. I sprouted them, and now I have a little tropical oasis because I have taro and ginger growing. Right back here I'm growing some corn. This is sweet corn, and again I'm using the corn stalks to grow some beans. These are the beans growing on the stalks, and these are supposed to be Salvadorian red beans. But they are vining up a lot. I thought they were a bush type of bean, but they are vining up the stalks quite a bit, which is good because it's kind of working to my advantage. This back here I call the back orchard, and you see this plant right here? This reminds me of a squash plant, but it's not a squash plant because it is a chayote, which is related to a squash. And I am growing it up with this trellis. I built this trellis here with just some bamboo and some remesh. This is concrete remesh that you can buy at Home Depot, and it makes really good trellising. And I'm utilizing the space quite a bit because underneath of it I am composting. So I'm utilizing the space by growing vertically over here. Let me show you my dwarf peach tree. Not so dwarf anymore. I think that's probably reaching 12 foot tall now. I will need to trim it, and my peach tree was sold to me as a peach tree, but it turned out to be a nectarine tree. And this year it got moldy. It got this mold on the fruit, and none of the fruit, I had hundreds of fruit in this tree, and none of the fruit is gonna ripen this year because it all got this disease. I'm not sure what it is, but next year I'll do a lot of research this winter, and will be spraying this with a clay-based product to protect it from this disease. This right here is my Fuju persimmon, and I have quite a few persimmons on the tree. I think I have like 10 of them. There was a lot more on the tree, but it has dropped them over the course of the summer, so that's okay. I didn't think it was going to be able to support all that weight of that fruit anyways, so now we have a few fruits on there. Right in this corner I have a Chicago hardy fig, and this right here is Musa Baju. It does produce a little fruit, but it doesn't taste like much, so I don't grow it for the fruit. I mostly grow it for the foliage. Check out how beautiful it is. And I have used the leaves in the past to make tamales, and this year the leaves are way bigger than they were last year, so I can certainly use them for tamales again this year. In this back orchard I have 3 rows. I have 1, 2, and 3. So this row right here has all the fruit trees. That peach tree right there next to the nectarine tree is one that I started from seed last year, and you can see how tall that one is. It's almost just as tall as the one I bought from the nursery. So if you want to grow a peach tree, you can start one from seed, and they produce relatively quickly, maybe 3 to 4 years. So maybe another 2 years before I see fruit on this guy. Let me take you to this passage right here. I love coming through here now because it's nice and cool, and I created this shade myself. Underneath here, I'm growing some tomato plants. And check out this beautiful tomato. Is the first ripe tomato of the season of this size. I have already been getting a lot of cherry tomatoes, but this one is the first tomato of the season, and it's so beautiful. Check out the amount of tomatoes I have growing here. This whole row is growing tomatoes, and this is like 30 foot long. Check out these tomatoes right there. Those are gladiator tomatoes, and these plants are loaded right now. This year I got a little lazy, and I haven't been trellising them as much as I have in previous years, but it turned out to be okay because the only thing I'm growing on this row is tomatoes, and the whole row is about 30 inches wide. So the plants are taking up the whole space. This year I decided to grow potatoes in buckets, and I also decided to use very poor unfinished compost to grow them in, and it turned out all right. So I had this extra space and I have extra buckets, so you get about 2 pounds per bucket. So I had about 20 buckets to start with, so that's going to be about 40 pounds of potatoes out of just stuff that I had extra laying around. Right here I have my apple tree, and I have it netted because of the squirrels, but I'm seeing a problem right here. Somebody has already tried to get in here, and that is not good, and we cannot have this happening. I also have this greenhouse that I grow vegetables in the winter months. It is not heated, so it produces food by only keeping a little bit of warmth in here. But right now it's getting a little too hot and a little too shaded by a tree that's right here. So I need to clear that out, take the plastic off, and let things breathe out a little bit in here. But I'm getting a ton of tomatoes in here. I have some of these tomatoes in here. These are the glacier tomatoes that are supposed to be able to handle some frost, and they definitely handle frost because I planted them very early, and they went through 2 frosts, and they do quite well in here. And last but not least, this area is my Zen area that I've been planting all sorts of tropical looking plants, like banana plants, canna lilies. I have more canna lilies right over here. This is planted out with a lot of plants. I probably went a little overboard and planted too many different things. These are ground cherries. These are delicious. They're like tomatillos, but sweet. And the canna lilies are starting to put on their flowers. This is going to be very beautiful very soon. And how about my hibiscus that I have growing here? These look beautiful, wide open in the mornings, but then they start closing up as the day progresses. So right now it's about midday, and they're starting to close up, and they are a one-day show. Right back here I am growing a ton of pawpaws and elderberries and other vegetables. I also have a few red bud native trees, some mulberry trees, and I'm also going to grow some squash up above this, and hopefully it's going to fill up soon because we're running out of summertime. So hopefully this plants start growing fast. Right in this area I have some banana trees planted as well. These are actually fruiting bananas, but these I'll dig up in the winter and I'll bring them indoors because these would die if they stayed out here. I also have a tropical plant right here. This is a sugar cane, and it is putting out some sugar cane stalks. So hopefully we'll have enough time to eat those at the end of summer. And I have a baby moringa tree over here that is struggling to survive. This one will also need to be dug up in the winter, but it's gonna be good. And check out these huge fig trees. I planted that one in September of 2020, and I planted this one in the spring of 2021, and they are both about the same size, and they are loaded with figs this year. The birds are eating them. I had 3 of them that ripened, but the birds are eating them, so I need to beat the birds somehow. And that is a full tour and a little bit faster than I usually do them because I want to keep you guys entertained. If you want to see more specific plants videos, let me know down in the comments below what you want to see, what do you want to learn about, and I'm happy to make those videos for you. Thank you so much for joining me as I turn my yard into a food forest, and hopefully in 2-3 years from now we'll have fruit coming out of our ears. See you on the next one.